Hi, I'm Russ. Today I'd like to talk to you about how to use touch-up paint on your cabinetry. Let's get started. Okay, when touching up painted finishes on cabinetry, it is possible to fix minor imperfections with a touch-up bottle like this one. This door has a little nick here in the face, and it also has a little chip missing on the corner. If there was a major dent in here, they can still sometimes be repaired, but they have to be filled and then completely resprayed in a spray booth. So, when using a little touch-up bottle like this, make sure the lid is tight first. You want to give it a little shake just to mix up the paint if it's been sat there for a little while. Once you've done that, just set it aside a second. Your area here that you want to touch up, so on this on the rail of the door in this corner, you just want to make sure that area is clean of dirt and any contaminants that you don't want to get into the paint. When applying the paint to very small touch-ups like this, less is more. So you want to put just a little bit of paint on. You can always add a little bit more rather than putting a great big drop of paint on. If you do put too much paint on, you just want to have a rag handy, ready before you start, just to kind of wipe it off and start again. If you leave it, it will dry and then you have to scrape it off. So now that I've got my paint here, I'm just going to give it another little shake again. Just going to undo it. This little paint pot here has a brush inside of it attached to the lid. They don't all, sometimes you will need like a little artist brush or something like that from a dollar store. So you can see that I'm just kind of getting rid of a lot of the paint here off the brush. I don't want it dripping, or I only want a tiny, tiny little bit. I'm just going to add, I'm literally just going to touch the corner of this door here. Just add a little bit of paint, just brushing it up. Like so. Okay. You'll often find that when you put the paint on, it kind of pulls up a little bit at first, looks a little high. As it dries, it tends to flatten out as long as you haven't put too much on. On the corners are a little bit easier to touch up. On the center panel here, it's really important that you don't put too much paint on. So I'm just going to get a little bit more paint on my brush, and then I'm going to clean off virtually all of it. Like, you only want a tiny, tiny little bit on the end of our brush. Just rest that down there. I'm just going to dab a little bit of paint here on the touch-up. Now in this one on the rail, I'm just overfilling it just a little bit. Put the lid back on, and then I'm just going to come round with my rag, and just if there's too much, I'm just going to wipe just very carefully, just a little bit off. We're trying to make it look like we haven't just dabbed a load of paint. So I've actually ended up wiping off a little bit of the paint I've applied, but that's okay because I have a little bit of the paint where I want it. I'm going to build this up in a couple of stages. So I'm just going to go back and put a little bit more in. Okay, only a tiny little bit of paint on the end of my brush. It really is a very small amount that we're applying here. As you can see, I got a little bit too much paint come down the brush, but it's good to show what can happen. So once again, clean that off. Okay, just gonna get, there we go. As you can see, I'm really having to get rid of a lot of the paint off of this brush. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, and we're just going to give that a second. It is full. You can definitely still see it here. It hasn't dried yet, so it's looking a little bit brighter. If you're not going to be able to fix this perfectly flat with a touch-up bottle, what you can do is make that dark spot disappear when I hold the door back here. It's hard now to see. The one on the corner of the door here is really blended in quite nicely. I can still see very closely that there is a little indentation. You're not going to be able to fix that, but you can certainly make it look a lot better. That's it.